Iron Kingdoms at War Battle Report. Cryx vs. Khador, 17 points. First we'll take a look at our battlefield, which is mainly a wide open field with some roads and trees and a couple of houses. And we'll do a lineup for G-Dog's Cryx army, his favorite army. Pretty standard lineup of Defiler and the mercenary solo Gorman the Wolf, Denegra as his Warcaster, a Scrap Thrall, a Necrotech, a Slayer Warjack, and 2 Death Rippers, pesky little Arknode Bonejacks. And if we pan across the battlefield, we'll get a look at my garrison's Khador army, and it included my lovely Widowmakers, who had advanced deployment, so moved forward on the board to start the game, my Juggernaut, Warjack, Sorsha, my Warcaster, my Destroyer, my favorite Warjack, and my new Mortar crew, which I was anxious to get into action for the first time and see how they do with their 20-inch range. Turn 1. For turn 1, G-Dog cautiously moved in towards my army using the cover of a house, and I took up a defensive position using the terrain available to me. You can see from the video here, G-Dog's clumped behind the blue house, and basically that's taking away all my lines of sight on him and allowing him to get closer to my army. I have a very range-oriented force, especially with my Widowmakers, my Mortar, my Destroyer, so I was looking for some clear lanes of fire, and as usual, G-Dog was doing a very nice job of denying me that early on. So with my Widowmakers, my Warjack battle force, and my Mortar nicely deployed on the road, ready to shoot anything that came within 20 inches. I felt the moment was going to come where I'd get some nice shots at G-Dog, but we'll see how all that turns out. So there's my nice avenue of fire for my Mortar. In turn 2, we got a little closer. G-Dog moved out from behind that house a little faster than I thought he would, and I moved into a firing position on the road, ready to pummel him. Still slightly out of my range. I had an itchy trigger finger, just waiting for him to move some stuff a little closer down that road. I didn't think he was going to do it, but actually he was going to surprise me next turn because he was actually going to become very aggressive with me, which took me a little bit by surprise. But I've moved my Widowmakers out to my right flank, my Mortars on my left, and my Warjack group with Sorsha in the center, all ready to engage whatever comes their way. And in turn 3, they would come my way. In turn 3, Gareth laid down his feet, Withering, which lowers all my stats by -2, and I used Icy Gaze during my part of the turn, where I froze a good chunk of his army. When G-Dog first moved down, he, again, kind of took me by surprise. He was so aggressive, moved his one giant clumped force, which made me anxious to use my feet, Icy Gaze, and catch almost all of his army in my command area. However, first he casted Withering on me during his turn, and that reduced all my stats by -2. And that was going to make it a tough turn for me because he was going to whittle away at me a little bit with some spells that he was channeling through his Bonejacks, which he's very good at, and that was going to make it tough. His Defiler cast Venom on me, hurt me that way. When I cast Icy Gaze, I froze some of his army, and I did lay into him pretty well with my Juggernaut and my Destroyer, and I did some serious damage to some of his Jacks, but failed to really destroy anything that turn, which I was very much hoping for with him frozen. In turn 4, G-Dog, with the front part of his army frozen, couldn't move much, but he very cleverly, because the units in the back of his army had not been frozen, they were just out of my command area, so my feet didn't affect them, he ghost walked his Scrap Thrall through his frozen units and moved it right amongst me and exploded all over me, and it was really quite a mess, and it hurt me pretty bad, and did some serious damage to Sorsha and one of my Warjacks. I continued to pick away at him with my Widowmakers. I'm laying into his Slayer there, but it's thick armament. I could just do a couple points of damage even with all 4 Widowmakers. Turn 5 was definitely the pivotal turn in the game. I'd made a mistake. I'd moved Sorsha back for a little protection, but I left a gap, and through that gap, as you can see, he marched up his Defiler, and his Defiler channeled a spell from Denegra, channeled Venom, and it really hurt me bad and got me down to basically 1 point of health left on Sorsha. And so I thought I'd kind of moved her out of harm's way from that scrap throw blowing up on her the previous turn, but he snuck that Defiler in. My Widowmakers took some pot shots at his Defiler during my part of the turn after Sorsha failed to freeze it in place, and I didn't do much that turn except take out a Bonejack. In this final turn, G-Dog moved up Denegra within sight of me, casted Venom one more time, and that was pretty much the end of it. And I put up a pretty decent showing for a while, but again, G-Dog's use of his feet and his arc node ability of his Bonejacks just proved that the Cryx are a very lethal army. You can't underestimate them, even with my firepower, including my mortar, which by the way I lost very early on to a channeled spell. It is a tough army to fight, those Cryxians. So yep, this is G-Dog, this is Garrison. Sorry, I hope you liked this iCall Battle Report, and be looking for more. Visit me at blitzbattles.blogspot.com, and have a great day.